going to call this meeting to order, 7 o'clock on the dot. I don't think our TV is working currently. Would it work for the PowerPoint? All right, so that's okay. Can you call the roll, please? We'll do it verbally. Thank you.
Councilman Burke. Here. Councilman Fields. Councilwoman Miles.
Present.
Councilwoman Novell.
Present.
Councilman Willis. Here. Vice Mayor Nicholson.
Here.
Mayor Wade.
Present. Let's have a brief moment of silent prayer and reflection. And in your prayer and reflection, please keep Mrs. DeWaggy and her family in your thoughts and prayers. They had her funeral home going today, so we could just have a moment of silent prayer and reflection, and then we'll go into the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which indivisible with liberty and justice for all. All right, please be seated. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our November 7th, 2018 meeting, our March 5th, 2019, and our March 19th, 2019 meeting. So I welcome a motion from the floor.
So moved.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second. Any discussion about anything on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, just do it by show of hands. Okay, motion carries 6-0. All right, next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Town Manager, are there any amendments you'd like to add to the agenda?
Yes, sir. We have.
Push the.
Sorry,
Hold on.
you'll push it. I have to, for some reason, it's defaulted by.
Yes, sir. We have one amendment. Tonight's agenda.
Okay, go ahead. What is it? You're up. Your mic's hot.
We have a resolution. We have a resolution to authorize the town manager to advertise a public hearing regarding the lease of town office space at 17739 Main Street. I believe everyone has a copy.
Hold on. Let's see if I got a copy. You got extra copy?
It should be this up here. Maybe this is
All right, resolution, okay, for lease property. I got a copy. Okay, we will put that as item, we'll put it as D on action items. Advertise. Public. All right. Does anybody else have anything to add or any amendments to the agenda? All right, seeing none, I welcome a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
second.
It's been moved, it's been second. Second by Miles. Any further discussion about that? Seeing none, all in favor, let's just do it by show of hands. All right, motion carries 6-0. All right, next on the agenda is the presentation by Go Virginia. Tom Russ is here and his crew from Go Northern Virginia. Okay, let me see. Sir, the floor is yours.
I don't have control over that back here, it's not being back there. So,
How are you, sir?
Sorry, sir, welcome. Check. You good? You hot?
Okay. Yeah,
I'm just gonna
great.
plug this into your HDMI right behind
Okay.
you.
Now, are you going to control it, or
If you'd like me to, I can.
how can I control it?
I'll just show you just 1
I
minute.
mean, if it's just pushing a button, I can handle that.
This is good. Yeah. Do you want to put your sheets to the side?
Got it up.
Yeah. Play from start. To switch slides, you're just gonna press
Which one?
the
Just that one?
space key right there.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Town Manager, thank you all very much for having us here tonight. I'm accompanied by Todd Yates, who is our Outreach and Education Chair of the Region 7 Go Virginia group. Sharon Vertz was not able to join us tonight. She had an unexpected emergency, and I apologize on her behalf. First and foremost, thank you very much for having us here. We appreciate the time to talk to you for a couple of minutes. I think all of you have the presentation, so I'm going to probably not spend a lot of time on that. I will go through it, but I'm going to talk about hopefully some things in addition to what's on there. I did look on your webpage and saw that it had been submitted, so I'm going to assume that you have it and move forward. Go Virginia. Go stands for growth and opportunity, and I didn't touch anything. There it is. Stands for growth and opportunity. It was created by the Virginia General Assembly in 2016, and you can see the two bills up there, the Senate bill and the House bill. The mission is to, and I will read that because I think that's critical, to create more high-paying jobs through incentive collaboration, primarily through out-of-state revenue, which diversifies and strengthens, I've lost the mic, the economy in every region. What higher-paying jobs in Northern Virginia means, at least the ones that we are attempting to secure for Northern Virginia, are at least $75,000 a year. That is considerably higher than any of the other regions in Virginia. Region 7, I think I got ahead of myself there. Region 7 is PDC 8, which you all are members of. It includes all those various counties. And you can see that the Region 7 contains 29% of the population of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We are, and you can read what we are, but it's basically Planning District Commission 8, of which Dumfries is a member. So why is Go Virginia needed? Again, Go Virginia, Go stands for growth and opportunity. We consider ourselves to be the leading, in fact we are, the leading economy, the driver of the economy in Virginia. But there are a lot of problems right now which Go Virginia is charged with helping to solve. every Virginia region except Richmond is growing more slowly than the national average. I've lost my pages here with my notes. Give me just a second. There we go. Let me give you some examples of that. The per capita growth, these are from George Mason University, the per capita growth from 2010 to 2015, that's the latest statistics we have, in the United States is 1.5%. In Region 7, where we are, it's 0.3%, and in Virginia, it's 0.9%. So we are clearly under the national average, and Richmond is the only area in the Commonwealth that is exceeding that. In 2017, you can see we gained 362,000 jobs, mostly in the lower paying areas, which means there's a loss of revenue in income taxes, a loss of revenue, generally speaking, in real estate taxes, and of course in sales taxes. What Go Virginia is trying to do is to strongly encourage cooperation among municipalities. And the reason for that, we have a fairly unique situation here in Virginia where local government and tax structure encourages competition, not collaboration. What do I mean by that? Local government has authority over the real estate taxes, of course. You get corporate taxes if they are headquarters is in your jurisdiction. But the income tax is a state tax. So the argument is among jurisdictions they want to get not only the corporate headquarters but also to get where the residents are going to live. So there is a built-in competition among jurisdictions to get new businesses with the accompanying benefits that come from that. So that's the reason that Go Virginia has put such an emphasis on collaboration among local governments. One more statistic I want to give you is the employment growth in this from 2010 to 2016. In the U.S., it was 1.4%. In Virginia, it was 0.9%. So again, we are under the statistics. You guys know this as well as I do. There are a tremendous amount of unfilled high-tech jobs in Virginia and in Northern Virginia particularly. And what do we mean by high-tech jobs? The three basic industry clusters, including that, are computer services, consulting services, and cybersecurity. To give you some idea, those jobs are in the range of over $100,000, where the retail jobs and the hospitality jobs are down the range of about $24,000 to $25,000. So you can see we're growing our economy or our job growth in the wrong particular area. Companies are competing for staff from a too small trained group of workers. And again, one of the reasons that Go Virginia is here and is working towards a goal of increasing that pool of talented workers. And the region is, there are several major regions in Virginia, obviously Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, and Richmond. They are the three driving regions, and yet, though, we compete among ourselves just like jurisdictions compete among themselves. A little about the history of the Go Northern Virginia Council. We were organized in May of 2017, so we're a new organization, an organization, as I said, created by the Commonwealth itself. We're coming up on our 2-year. We have to have a plan for every 2 years, and we're just starting to develop the plan for 19 through 21. The leadership, I will go through that with you in just a couple of moments, but it is if I could say it is a lot of the leaders in Northern Virginia in both the business community and other communities. It is by law, by the General Assembly, led by the private sector. The chair must be a member of a private entity. The thought there was that private industry should be the lead of this since they potentially would benefit more from others. It includes, and I'll go through this in just a couple of moments, but it includes the makeup of the Go Virginia group must be including local government. And we have a couple of county supervisors, we have a town mayor, the education community, we have representatives of the community college, economic and development workforce, the Planning District Commission, nonprofits, and others that contribute to the economy in Northern Virginia. And if I can get my page 7, that's who the folks are, and they do represent a true cross-section of Northern Virginia. Now, page 8. I sort of went through that already, so I'm going to move to the next one. This is actually some of the Code of Virginia requirements. It set requirements which are very specific as to what we must do, and they outline the process we must go through, the metrics that we have to measure grants by, and if you see the word there, cross-cutting strategic goals that overcome challenges. What are the challenges that we face in Northern Virginia? We have 4 times less the patents than other tech hubs in the country, such as Boston, Silicon Valley, Raleigh-Durham, and Texas. We're lagging behind in the growth of tech workers. We have limited research that is converted over to commercialism. Our venture capital funds and our angel funds are substantially less than they are in other high-tech markets. And this is one that sort of surprises me. The age group of 25 to 34, our population in Northern Virginia declined by 4% of that group. And in Virginia, it's growing by 7%, and in the nation, it's growing by 11%. So those are some of the challenges. Obviously, we have a lot of unique features, the quality of life, the educational system, the cultural differences, the diversity. Transportation, I would have to comment. It took me 1 hour and 46 minutes to get here this afternoon from Herndon, where I live and where my office is, and Todd moved in 1/2 of a mile, 36 minutes. So we ought to get a gold star for even being here, but thanks again for having us. The grants that we give, and I'm going to talk about those in just a moment, we have a very strict matrix that we look at to make sure that they are measuring up to what we want them to measure up to. We're not attempting to, and we are not duplicating local economic development operations. We're working closely with the economic development directors from all the municipalities. The catalyst, I sort of think of the catalyst as seed money. These are to help not only educational institutions, but private businesses to grow their business. And we are extremely data-driven. We've had George Mason University do a tremendous amount of work for us, and most of what we are focusing on, we have learned from what George Mason University did for us and what a group did statewide called T-Economy, which pointed out a lot of the differences, and I think I went 1 page too far. I skipped 11. 11 basically just tells you, and I'll tell you that very quickly, we do have money. I think that's the first thing that everybody's interested in. We had $400,000 to set up the first year. We've got $250,000 this year to continue the work. We get money from the state. I didn't touch anything. There we go. Nope, went back too far. How can I get it to go back? Well, we won't. Just to give you some money, we have $11 million to work with. Did it go back? We have $11 million statewide to work with. We have almost $5 million in Northern Virginia to work with. And there's $20 million to work with statewide on competitive grants, and we will be applying for one of those, I think, in the next couple of months. There is, and this creates some issues, there is a minimum of a 20% requirement by the local governments for the region that we're in. We have one we're working on now that combines an effort from Loudoun County and Chesapeake, Virginia, and they're committed to the 20%. The 20% can come from basically anywhere except state funds. So the town of Dumfries could put some money up, Prince William County could put money up. It can be in-kind cash, it can be from employees, time on jobs. As I said, there is a 20% match by local government or a minimum of $50,000. And that has created some problems, I will tell you, statewide. But the theory behind it from the enabling legislation was that this whole program is designed to create a more vibrant, more strong economy in Virginia, which helps not only the citizens, but local government. So that's something that the state is, no other word for it, but just adamant about it. And that's what that says up there, so I'm glad that finally showed up. Region 4, we're very proud of the fact that in our pretty short-lived period, we've had every one of our projects that we've submitted approved. About almost $2 million have been invested by the Commonwealth. I'm not going to go through all those, but basically every single one of them is to create more talent for the high-tech industry, which is the driver of the economy here in Northern Virginia. And that's what we're attempting to do with our grants, is to drive more tech professionals into the field. To give you some, just if you look at it, I will point this out. The tech talent pipeline created 539 jobs with about $1.8 million in new revenue. So the ROI, return on investment, is very, very good. The next one, the tech workforce, was an ROI, 182 jobs, $621,000. And then the one on the next page is 174 jobs with $520,000. We have apprenticeships that are basically between companies who provide funds for their employees to work. They pay it, so that counts as an in-kind contribution. And you can see the tech talent pipeline, which is our big one. We have 400 apprentices in that with a value of about $2.7 million. We are in the process right now of accepting applications for new projects. We have 2 or 3 that we're working on now, and we're going to go for the first time after our competitive statewide grant, which is the second one up there. And that one's a little different from some of the others. It is a partnership, and I don't want to say too much about it, but it is a partnership between 2 school systems, 2 large school systems, where we're going to put training programs, educational programs, classes from kindergarten through high school. And the intent there is, I have always heard, if you don't get young people interested in these things, by the time they're certainly by the 4th, 5th, 6th grade that you have probably lost them. And particularly, we're interested in getting far more females and far more minorities involved because we think it's critical we get these young people involved in this program early. This will probably be one of the few and newest ones that we're going to attempt to get approved here through what we call the big board, which is the funding board in Richmond. But I think it's fair to say we're pretty excited about it. And we do think it is scalable to other school systems around the Commonwealth, and we think that's an important item. That's the results. Our projects have all been data-driven. We have high-performance goals. Like I said, the issue is to create jobs that have a value of at least $75,000 a year. We have metrics in all the grants, and we do monitor them closely. Here is something that we have reached we have reached consensus on. At one of the first meetings we had, we have a pretty high-powered group, if I might say so. And after a couple of meetings, we only meet every other month. And we're all volunteers, by the way. Everybody here is a volunteer. We're all like most of y'all. We have day jobs. We just didn't want to be a grant approval agency. We wanted to be a force driving applications. And we want to be truly a catalyst. We want to get people interested in creating new companies and creating companies that drive jobs, and we want to get people interested in furthering their education in these particular fields. So all of our new proposals will reflect that, and that's where certainly you and the council can help us, is getting the word out. That's us if you need to get hold of us. Getting the word out that Go Virginia exists. Go Virginia has money. Go Virginia is interested in different approaches. And Go Virginia is working to create the workforce that is absolutely necessary here in Northern Virginia. The numbers are all over the page, but they're anywhere in the range of about 30,000 unfilled high-tech jobs in just Northern Virginia alone. And with Amazon coming, which I am just tickled to death they're coming, but that's going to create even more pressures on us. And that's going to create pressures among smaller companies with Amazon potentially attracting employees from other companies to come there just based on the salaries they're able to pay. So if we're not able to get our workforce educated and ready for this new influx of companies, I saw the paper today where Data General or somebody is moving to Alexandria and bringing 1,000 jobs there. So we have just got to get our entire workforce. We've got to increase dramatically the workforce, and we've got to get them properly educated. So if you can help us by getting the word out, if you have any of your entrepreneurs or businesses that would be interested in making an application to us, we're certainly happy to receive them and to hear them. And with that, I will close. And thank you very much for your time. And Todd Yates is here also, and we would be happy. And Todd, you want to add anything?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd just like to add that this is not a traditional. Sure. I'd just like to add that this is not a traditional approach to economic development. In my past life, I was the assistant city manager down in Danville, Virginia, and knowing how that region struggles with attracting new. The Go Virginia program is truly designed to be that catalyst that changes and gives the entire region the opportunity, because as many of you know, the jurisdictions that often make it difficult and competitive to attract projects sometimes becomes a barrier where the jurisdictions are working against each other rather than with each other. And so hopefully what we'll have here is the opportunity for the entire region to benefit from this.
Thank you. Council, if you got any questions, just raise your hand and we'll acknowledge you. Don has to cut you on. Council, no, it's working? All right, let's see, push it. Oh, nope, nope, Nope.
Maybe if I keep my finger on there?
No.
Oh, wow, okay. Good evening. Thank you for your presentation. I'm curious as to how we could have someone serve on the Go Northern Virginia Council. If you could briefly describe that process, because we have a lot of wonderful business owners, some in this room tonight, who may be interested in serving on the council. How does one go about doing that?
The council is all volunteers, and they are made up of a cross-section of the community. Majority of them are in private enterprise. So if you have business people, that would fit the mold perfectly. The way we have done it, it's pretty informal. The original group was set up, they had a selection committee, if you can call it that, and I was nominated by my local Chamber of Commerce to be on it, so that's how I got there. But we have a nominations committee. It's chaired by Sharon Verts, who was going to be here tonight. And if you would send a name and a little resume and the qualifications of any individual that you have, Sharon will look at it, probably talk to the person, and we would be very interested in having additional members. The Go Virginia councils around Virginia are limited to 27 members, but we got an exception for that because we're such a big part of the Commonwealth. So we really don't have a limit to our number of employees. I mean, number of volunteers. My goodness, I wish we were employees. And I'm trying to think, from Prince William County, Marty Noe is on it. I'm not aware of anybody else. We would welcome any nominations that you would send them, and you can send them to Ms. Verts up there, and I will tell her to keep an eye out on emails for someone from down this way. And thank you for that. That's great.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from council? Well, we thank you for this presentation. I think that Go Virginia is needed, the grants. I mean, I think, us as a town needs to apply for something like that. I mean, there's a huge talent gap down here. We're going to be going through our budget presentation. And in that today, it talks about the median income, it being almost, in the town, a $40,000 gap compared to in the county. Right. So we're looking at a $40,000 income gap. And so we need that training, and we need to bring those high-tech jobs to this community. And so I think this is something we're going to be looking near and dear to be a part. Thank you for your presentation.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we will welcome any ideas that y'all have, because we're going to focus on workforce development for the very reason that you have just said.
Yeah.
So thank you all very much for having us. I apologize for almost being late, but we were attempting to be here on time. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor and members of council.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is a citizen comment period. Citizens may address the council for up to 5 minutes, and a chair representative of a board speaking on behalf of a board may speak up to 8 minutes. Is there anybody signed up to speak? No?
There's no one signed up at this time, and I have fixed your mics.
All right, is there any citizen that wish to make comments tonight? Please come to the podium and state your name and address. And if you came in late, the reason you don't see the sign-in sheet is because we have it up here on the podium.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Uvina. I'm not a resident of the town of Dumfries, but I am a business operator. I've been here for 32 years in my accounting business and other businesses. My current address is 17739 Main Street. I'm here to represent myself and talk about a vote you may or may not be taking later concerning economic development in the town of Dumfries in relation to a convenience store with filling gas pumps in a 1-acre lot. I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with exactly where that property is located, but I will just give you I'm assuming you do, but I'm just going to let you know that it's the lot that was cleared about 18 months ago between Harley-Davidson and the post office. It sits at 17961 Main Street, and it has entrances both off of Main Street and off of David Klein Road. So it's a unique piece of property for the town. It's currently existing in a zoning period area that does not permit what I have requested along with my partners. But we believe it is consistent with what is going on in that part of Dumfries. That's the southern end of Dumfries. That's where all of your commercial area is. You have a Harley-Davidson, you have a Pizza Hut, you have car lots, you have the Dumfries Shopping Plaza, Triangle Shopping Plaza, all clustered in that part of town. It's not the part of Main Street that everybody else might think of as the quaint area in Dumfries. It's commercial. It's surrounded by commercial. And what we are requesting is a conditional use permit for just the opportunity to even submit a proposal to the Planning Commission, who would then review everything and have a public hearing. And then it would go forward at that point in time to the Town Council for another public hearing and presentation. So, with that, I'm not going to take up all of your time other than you do have some interesting information that exists on your website. A piece of it is in the business section of your website. And if I may just read to you briefly, the town of Dumfries is committed to promoting a diverse and progressive community and to position the community as a place of choice for businesses considering relocating and expanding, and for developers interested in finding the perfect location for their next project. That's what we are asking you to consider this evening. I'm finished. If anybody has any questions.
No, thank you. We don't respond to comments.
Oh, okay.
We just take it in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other citizens wishing to make comments, please come up to the mic. Don, how you reset this in M1 or M2? Okay, all right, got it.
Good evening, all. Norman Thornton. I believe I'm already registered, so you know who I am and where I live and all of that. Dovetailing on what Go just presented to us, we can see that having a gas station will not provide the economic opportunities that such a large piece of land provides. So that's basically all I want to say. But I do have another 100 people who have signed a petition against this gas station. When I know when the plan is going to be presented, I will then present that information as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone else wishing to make comments?
Good evening. My name is Christopher Keith Brown. I reside at 3904 Fairfax Street, Dumfries, Virginia. I've lived here 62 years, married, have 3 children, all of them raised here in Dumfries and doing very well in their adult lives. I want to have you to understand something about our project. Number one, it's not a gas station. Number two, we have an interested party who is a national, international, well-known business already in Dumfries who would like to relocate in Dumfries and expand what they sell in Dumfries. So in an environment where at your last meeting you talked about covering a $190,000 shortfall in your budget, it would just be logical for you to look at progressively any project that comes before you that could create revenue for you. So in our case, we can't go forward unless you think forward, take action, and allow for this type of zoning to occur on this property so that you can entertain a proposal for someone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to make comments at this time? Okay.
Do you have to be a resident in this town?
Scissors business owner. You go ahead. What's
You
your
have to be a
comment?
business
No,
owner?
go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, I am Samoto Yamosa, and most of you probably seen me in town filming and doing videos. Well, this is real quick because I got a lot of homework I need to do. I was taking a look at some of the stuff that you guys do throughout the year, and I think you guys are selling yourself short as far as your compensation. With all the stuff that you do, answering phone calls, meeting with people in the town, some of the community events that y'all do, it takes so much time putting that stuff together. So real quickly, as far as the compensation, I think to help you guys out, I looked at salary.com, and the average salary for city or council members is about $28,000 a year, and that is very, very low. That's very low. And then the minimum was $13,000 a year. So that's real low. So the average is about $20,500. So I think it would be fair for the work that you guys put in far as working in chambers and outside of chambers should be, and I'm just going to give you the numbers I have right here. I think y'all have the papers there. For mayor, I think it would be appropriate for $1,500 monthly for the work that he does, working with businesses, talking to people in the community, trying to bring businesses here in the town of Dumfries. And so that would average to be about $18,000 annually. Miss Vice Mayor, I think, would be appropriate for $1,000 a month for the work that she does. She spent a lot of time with community events, working with the community, and also business owners as well. So that would be about $12,000 annually. And then our council members, who do a lot also behind the scenes and up here, I think it would be appropriate for $800 a month. And so that would be $9,600 annually. So if you take a look at the total as far as paying 7 people and compensating for the work that they're doing, a town manager can very easily earn $78,000 a year. So you're taking the salary of one person and you're compensating 7 people. And I think that's something that could be done right here in Dumfries for the work that you guys are doing. I think you're just pretty much selling yourself short for the work that you're doing here. So just take a look at that. One salary of one individual, if they were a town employee making $78,000 a year, that would compensate 7 of you guys. So that was just my suggestion.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anybody else signed up or anybody else wanting to make comments? All right. Seeing none, next on the agenda is council members' comments. Start down the dais. Councilman Brewer, any comments tonight?
You got to hold it?
No, just push it.
Oh, right. After hearing some of the comments for citizens' time concerning the market and this annual compensation, obviously this person that gave us this report on the annual compensation doesn't live in the town. Because if he did, they would run you out of town. There's a lot of jurisdictions in the state of Virginia that don't get paid at all. They do it for nothing. So I don't know where you're getting your data from. The town of Quantico doesn't make anything, neither does the town of Occoquan. As far as this business that's going to be located in between the post office and Harley-Davidson, this is requiring a conditional use permit, and those should not be handed out like tickets to a baseball game. You got to be very careful. I know that a number of businesses have come to the town of Dumfries over my years here and wanting conditional use permits. Well, it doesn't go with the owner, it goes with the land. People have to understand that. It does not go with the owner of the the business that goes with the land. And as long as that land is being used for that, it'll stay there. So that's something we'll have to discuss when the time occurs. That's all I got.
Councilman Fields.
Good morning, town, and good morning, citizens, and those that are watching. Oh, Jesus Christ, I've been working too much today. I apologize. Good evening. And as always, I apologize for my tardiness, but I do work in D.C., and you know how the traffic is coming out of D.C. I'd just like to say welcome to spring, and we got a lot of events coming up to enjoy the spring into summer. Spring break will be coming up soon for our kids to enjoy and get out and be involved in the community and enjoy some of these spring activities. And we have enough here going on in town to keep all of us busy. Thank the citizens that came out and voiced their expressions, and I believe everything should be looked at full circle and allow things to take its due process. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Council Lady Miles.
Good evening, citizens. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's great to see everyone out there tonight. I would like to start by offering my condolences to the family of Louise Waggy. Ms. Waggy was a longtime member of the Planning Commission, and I actually had the pleasure of serving with her for many years. So we definitely want to keep her and her family in our thoughts and in our prayers. Also, I would like to wish everybody a happy Autism Awareness Month. In 2008, the UN declared today, actually, April 2nd, as Worldwide Autism Awareness Day. So the mayor wants everybody to see that he's down for the cause. He has his autism awareness socks on. So he probably show us that a little bit later. So 2008, the UN declared April 2nd Worldwide Autism Awareness Day. And just a fun fact, many of us in the autism community celebrate Autism Acceptance Month and Autism Acceptance Day. And the reason for that is we had many adults who were on the spectrum who said, okay, awareness is one thing, and awareness is great, but we have enough awareness. What we need is acceptance. So the whole goal would be to go from awareness to acceptance and acceptance to appreciation. And with that in mind, we want to make sure we always strive to be an inclusive society. And with that, again, I thank you for joining us, and I'm done.
Council Lady Willis. Push your button. Push your button.
Oh, sorry about that. Forget. Good evening, everyone. I don't know whether our citizens can see us or not unless they're on Facebook Live. Anyway, I'd like to send my condolences to Louise Waggy and her family on the loss of their mom and their sister and brother, her brothers, for her death. I went to the funeral, and Louise was a member of our church, my church, and a lot of the people at the reception after the funeral asked me, why can't they view the town council meetings? And I asked them, and I said, are you on Verizon? And they said yes, and I said that's possibly the reason. So I just want to make it aware to everyone here, our town manager, to see if we can alleviate that issue so everyone can watch our meetings that are in the town. Thank you.
Council Lady Neville.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to use my time to acknowledge accomplishments of young adults in our community. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate my son, Amir Nehemiah, and his 17 new brothers for becoming members of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, 4 of whom are from the Dumfries area and are graduates of Forest Park High School. I'd also like to congratulate the 14 newest members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated at Virginia State University, and congratulate Miss Michaela Walker, a known volunteer in our community, for her recognition as an outstanding freshman of the year at Virginia State University. we have to celebrate our youth when they make huge accomplishments, and I am ecstatic and just overly proud of them.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us here in the room, and those who are watching us online, those who can see us online, those who cannot, if you know someone who is not able to access the live version on Verizon, you can also go to our Town of Dumfries website and see the archived videos as well. It's not live, but you can at least see, what was discussed. It is live on the website? Okay. All right, so Granicus is live, and you can do that from your computer or your phone, what have you. I mirror the sentiments of my council members who wish condolences to the Waggy family, and happy spring, everybody. And for the kiddies, enjoy your spring break when it comes, and be prepared for the April showers to bring May flowers.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just like many of my colleagues, I want to start off today by offering my condolences to the entire Waggy family. Her service to our community has been priceless, and she has served this community faithfully for many, many, many years. And so we definitely tip our hats and we salute her. We started our day off today with a moment of silence to her. Welcome to April showers. As many of you see, it's raining outside, but we know that April showers will bring May flowers and more allergies for most of you. As the days start to get longer and the weather gets nicer, I know many more of our citizens are going to be out and about enjoying the nice weather, and we're looking forward to meeting and greeting them at many of our town events this month. We have one coming up, and I know that many of you are going to be excited to meet and greet our officers as well as they get back out on more foot patrols as the weather gets warmer and out there on their bikes. We're also encouraging everyone to join us on Saturday, April 13th for our Quantico Creek Cleanup Day from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And on the night of Saturday, April 13th, that night I'm going to host the inaugural Mayor's Ball and the Community Awards, where I get the chance to recognize members in the community who I feel have made the town a place that you just don't want to drive through, but a place that you want to drive to. In addition, some honorees that night is going to be Clyde and Gwen Washington, who they're going to receive the Mayor's Living Legend Award for their lifetime of service to the town of Dumfries. And at the end of the night, we're going to announce monies raised to start a scholarship fund for graduating seniors in the town of Dumfries as we celebrate our community. Other than that, tonight we're going to be going through taking a first look at our 2020 budget. We got a nice presentation that the town manager has prepared for us. And I think in the words of Dave Ramsey, a budget is simply just telling your money where it's going instead of wondering where all the money went. So tonight you'll get to see where we're placing all your money, all your tax revenues, and I'm excited about the process. I believe we're beginning to do things differently, and it's going to be a brighter and new era for the town. In closing, my closing thoughts is you can't fix a problem at the same level of intelligence that the problem was created on. So you got to get more knowledge and better knowledge so that you can fix the problem at a different level. And that's my remarks for tonight. Next on the agenda is our boards and commissions. Architectural Review Board. No? Okay. Planning Commission?
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Planning Commission report for the month of March 2019. The Dumfries Planning Commission held their work session, regular meeting, and one public hearing on 11 March 2019. The work session was at 6 p.m. and the regular meeting and public hearing were at 7 p.m. Highlights from the meetings are: work session. There were 2 items on the work session agenda. The Commission discussed the following items: discussion on the planning for the future presentation and the 2019 Planning Commission goals, PMUD, discussion for public hearing. The commission did not discuss the planning for the future presentation as they did not have a quorum until 6:43 p.m. Regular meeting and public hearing. The commission voted 4-0 to adopt the commission's work session and regular meeting minutes for 11 February 2019. The commission held a public hearing for zoning text amendment to Chapter 70, Zoning Division 14, Planned Mixed-Use District, PMUD, Section 70-535.2, application requirements for PMUD, minimum acreage of 5 acres to reduce it to 2 acres. The commission recommended town council approve the zoning text amendment. Motion carried 4-0. The next meeting of the Planning Commission will be on 8 April 2019. The work session will start at 6 p.m. and the regular meeting at 7 p.m. The work session will continue after the regular meeting if necessary. This concludes the Planning Commission report.
Thank you for your report. Question.
Yes.
How many members do you currently have on the Planning Commission?
We, I think we had 7 because there was 2 new people that were appointed to the commission, and one of them showed up last month. So the other one hasn't showed up yet. I think paperwork may still be being worked on or something like that. We do have a vacancy now, though.
Okay. Oh, because
Yep.
Ms. White.
Yep.
Okay.
And also, I'd like to send my condolences out to the Waggy family. Ms. Waggy's been on the Planning Commission quite a while. I've worked with her all the years that she's been on there, and she was very good at what she did. She had a lot of good questions all the time, gave a lot of comments when she needed to, so we appreciated her being on the Planning Commission.
Absolutely. Any questions on the Planning Commission report from council? I'm seeing none. Thank you for your time
Yes, sir.
today, sir. All right, next on the agenda is staff reports. Town Attorney.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, my report is before you, and I'm ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, council, are there any questions for the town attorney on her report? Councilman Brewer?
Yes, I saw in your report you had 9 that were null pros.
Correct.
Why?
It should be a note at the bottom that tells you, there were, we had one officer who is no longer with the force, and so there were charges that couldn't be gone forward with on that. We also had a few of those charges were charges that came back on an officer that left years ago, that were sometimes someone's picked up years later and that charge comes back up and we can't proceed forward because the officer that made the charge is no longer available. Let's see. One was due to PD request, one in exchange for a plea to other charges. Sometimes someone has multiple charges and one is dropped in exchange for a plea to others. The remainder, like I said, were due to officers no longer on the force.
Any other, Council Lady Willis?
Yes, just one question. In your report, you said that you participated in a meeting with the developer of the First Town Center.
Correct.
Is it the same gentleman that's originally had it?
It is.
And he still needs changes to a site plan and discuss, okay, and now Route 1 widening project is involved.
Well, we've had multiple meetings with the developer regarding this project over the last couple of months. The last couple of months, he's been coming to us with ideas on changes that he would like to make to his site plan, discussing whether or not the changes that he would like to make would be minor or major and whether or not they would require the site plan to come back before council. And he's stated that some of those changes are due to the Route 1 widening and the bringing the road closer to his project. I've explained to him that the road is not being brought close enough to his project to alter his plans. If he does desire to alter those plans, that's because that's his choice, not because it's anything that the town code or that the town is requiring, or that the Route 1 widening is requiring of him. It's simply a choice on his part to scale down his project. If at some point he does not decide to go forward with the project, or decides to scale the project down to a point that it's significant site change, then we will be bringing that to council. But he's met with myself and other members of staff to show us changes that that he would like to make to the project. At which time he decides to move forward with that, I believe he plans to bring those to council and show you.
Okay, does he ever have a starting date for this thing in our lifetime?
Not that I'm aware of. I've approached him about issues that need to be resolved prior to him going forward, and we're hoping that those will be resolved before the end of the fiscal year. He had originally said they wouldn't be, but there are some outstanding issues that we're hoping will be resolved. He says if this site plan changes get approved, that he will be able to move forward within the next year on the project. I really couldn't. We've dealt with this developer for a long time, and I really couldn't tell you.
Okay, I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for the town attorney? Councilman Brewer.
Yeah, the town's been dealing with him for the last 9 years about this. And he's no farther along now than what he was 9 years ago. So I don't think that the town needs to waste any more admin time, attorney time, or anything else with this developer until he gets busy with the project. I mean, this has been a huge expense, not only to the town but to the town's people, because we're the ones that the taxpayers are the ones that are paying the salaries of the people here in the town of Dumfries. So we don't need to be wasting any more time with this.
There's one correction, Councilman Brewer. He is further along because we paid to demolish his buildings for him, and so we gave him. So that's right. So, all right. Any more questions for the town attorney? All right, Councilman Fields.
No question, just a comment, and you're right, Mayor, and also Councilman Brewer. At some point, I believe all of us that has ran for the office that we hold has mentioned further development in the town of Dumfries, and that was probably some or one of our major talking points of what we're going to do. I mean, I recall last spring, Mayor walking down the street doing videos and showing the progress that we're making on the demolishing of the buildings and everything. I know I talked about it when I ran for this position, and what's going to happen next time we run? Well, you said a few years ago we was going to have this, that, and the other. We don't see nothing. So I agree with what you said, Mayor. I definitely agree with what you're saying, Mr. Brewer, and I thank you for what you're doing, Ms. Colorado. I know you're doing the best that you can.
Okay, next on the agenda is the town manager's report. Christy, can you push your mic for us, please? Thank you. Town manager, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. My report is before you, and it includes updates from all of the operational departments. There was one note that I also wanted to make to the council. Staff and I are looking into a zip code change to ensure accurate locations for some of our news reporting. That is an intensive process, but I just wanted council to know that we are looking into it, and we will be bringing council a recommendation on how to move forward once we investigate all the steps required for that process. And at this time, I'll entertain any questions.
And I think that's a great initiative. I think last week, everybody probably saw all the major news networks that said there was a murder-suicide in Dumfries, and we all looked at ourselves like there was no murder death, not in the town of Dumfries, not on our watches. And so, You know, they had all the helicopters and everything, but it was outside. You know, normally they would call that the Montclair or the Brittany area, but just because it was something bad, it always comes down on the town of Dumfries. And so I think this is a great initiative on the part of our staff to figure out how we can differentiate ourselves and stand out for all the positive and the good that we're doing. Councilman Brewer.
And you're absolutely right. This has been an ongoing problem. This has probably been going on as long as it's been since Chris Brown has been the mayor of the town of Dumfries. This right here has gone back as far as when we had the Potomac News, because the last story that we had in the Potomac News was that there was a murder near Dumfries, and let me tell you where it was. At the Wawa station across from the Garfield substation. 9 miles away. So yeah, if you can get anything done with that, that would be appreciated. So good job.
Mr. Rogers, I do have questions on the police report. I don't know if you want to answer or we bring the police chief up or.
Your pleasure, Mayor. I'll start.
Okay. So my question is on what's the mission or the goal towards community policing and the bike patrol as the weather begins to get a little bit nicer?
So we are making. I've met with the chief to discuss that, as I know that that's something that has been a priority of the council in regards to community policing. So the chief does have a plan in place. So we are hopeful that all of our neighborhoods will enjoy an increased police presence within those communities. So that is something that is on our particular list as one of our initiatives.
It's awesome. All right. Anybody else had any questions about any? Council Lady Neville, and then Vice Mayor.
Yes, Town Manager, I have a question about the police department as well.
Yes, ma'am.
A few months ago, I brought up the conversation about having something in place for our citizens who may be disabled or other situations going on. A motion was made, a motion was passed, and I'm curious to know the update on the town police department having something in place to address this.
Absolutely. I'm happy to report that, Councilwoman, that our chief has met with the Prince William Police Chief. They have started a regular discourse to make sure that the information that is provided to the county, we do have access to that. There is also a specific agreement that allows access to that type of privileged information for those residents that have those issues and their loved ones. So that agreement, as well as the agreement to allow full access for our police department with the Prince William County, both of those agreements are pending any day now. I additionally spoke with the county administrator in Prince William to ensure that there were no issues or hiccups that I wasn't aware of coming in fresh, and so he confirmed with me that there was no issue from his shop. So both of those agreements should be executed any day now.
Thank you. That's excellent. Thank you.
We'll go with Councilman Fields, and then we'll come to Council Lady.
Okay, since we're on the police department, I was going to direct this to the chief, but I hope that y'all are talking.
Absolutely.
Okay, within the past few months, we've lost some officers, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last year, when I brought this very topic up, that the police department is not a reflection of the citizens in our town. It seems to have been what I'm going to call a Hail Mary hire, and that Hail Mary hired person is no longer with us, correct?
I may have missed some of the history on the Hail Mary.
He's no
hire.
longer with us.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Or about to leave.
Okay.
Okay. That brings our numbers down in minority representation of this police department.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hope that we can change that. That needs to be changed, and needs to be changed with someone who's going to stay here. Not just come, get trained, as what happened, and turn around and leave. We've been facing that problem over and over and over again. At one time, when I was a police officer in this town, I was the only minority in the police department at one time. Maybe shared with one other. It's not a good feeling. But the citizens see that, and the citizens talk about that, and that's what I'm hearing, I'm quite sure some other council members are hearing the same thing. We are a minority majority community, and we need to reflect that in our police department.
Yes, sir, Councilman, and I can say that the town, our policy is to be open and inclusive in regards to our employment practices. I've spoken directly with the chief in regards to the recruitment for the police department in particular. The chief has a plan to ensure that we are open and inclusive within our recruitment process, and so that's all I could really say on in regards to personnel matters. But I hope that the council will be pleased with our process in trying to attract and be inclusive and get the best candidates.
Council Lady Willis.
On the same note that Councilman Fields is talking about, I'm looking at our new town manager's breakdown. And the demographics say that Hispanic or Latino in Dumfries is 42.1%. Black or African Americans are 26.7%. White alone, not Hispanic, are 24.2%. So, good job. I mean, I look forward to the diversification in everything that we do as far as hiring for the town of Dumfries.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Great report. I got a couple more questions.
Sure.
Do we have an ending date for our police department's building to be finished?
So we're putting the finishing touches now. In terms of when they're available to move in, it should be April 15th is where we're scheduled. So it should be just a few more weeks.
Alrighty. One of the things also, the code enforcement. By the way, I got a letter, and it was great. No. My husband was concerned. He didn't know what they were talking about. But I see, from some of the readings that I've done that it wasn't, But one of the things, it says various churches throughout the town of Dumfries, documentation visits. What's a documentation visit? I'm just wondering.
Jatinder, could you provide a little more information on the documentation visits?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We had existing, churches list within our G Drive for the, town's references, and that issue has been sitting on the back burner. And recently, we were asked to kind of update that list in terms of how many churches are there in the town and what is their status. When I say what is their status, means are they in by right area, or if they are in an area that requires a conditional use permit, or if they are operating there with a valid certificate of occupancy. Those were few things that we checked on it, and I think that was a good exercise for my new code enforcement officer, and the instruction to her was to kind of get all the information updated. And one of the way was for her to kind of visit each of those locations and verify the documentation that we were looking for. And that list has been completed. It's still probably got to be updated since the last time it was provided, but that list was provided to the town manager per his request. I hope I answered your question, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
And Councilwoman, as soon as we kind of polish the list up, we can provide that to all the council members. I know that there were some questions about the number of different types of businesses that we had. So part of what community development was doing is compiling some lists so that we know what we actually have within the town. And I thought it was useful, particularly as we talked about conditional uses and things of that nature, to know what the different uses for the various religious organizations and other organizations that we have. So as soon as we polish that list up, we can provide it to all of council as well.
Okay. As far as the code enforcement officer going around going through town, which I love this list. This is great. Are they going into the really industrial area that we have, like the Campbell property and all that area through there as well? Because, that's really it's like a black eye on the town.
Sure.
And we were just I was just wondering.
Yes, our staff is going in every nook and cranny of the town. But if any residents or any council members have any potential issues that they want to highlight for us to put an eye on, we welcome that as well.
And I just want to add, when she first got on, Council Lady Willis, that was one of the first places she went to and kind of attacked. And she went through there, and we saw within 30 days, we saw a significant improvement in the cleanup over there, just from that being one. And I was pretty impressed with that being one of the first places that she kind of like attacked and went over there. And they cleaned up, and they didn't want no problems, and they immediately start fixing stuff. So we did see a significant improvement.
Right. There's a lot of places in the town that are just, it's scattered on their property. And, and they're commercial as well as residential. But I think this list is great. Can you tell me about a brownfield grant? There was mention of that in a couple places.
Brownfield grant?
Yeah. Environmental Standards Group about brownfield grant possibilities and assistant with grant writing.
I believe that was a meeting.
Just a minute, but what is the brownfield grant?
So brownfield is a certain environmental designation. So we had some groups that came to discuss the potential of whether the town has any brownfields, whether the entire town may be considered a brownfield, to open us up to some potential grant opportunities for us to develop or redevelop or enhance some of our infrastructure.
I know what it is now. It just popped in my head as you were talking about it.
Yes, ma'am.
It says here that also that the town's experiencing a lot of increased planning and zoning related inquiries, especially from real estate agents and investors. Can you expand on that?
So the one thing I want to highlight in relation to that, and we'll kind of touch on it within the budget presentation, is when you have certain zonings and different types of development that wants to come in, or certain planning requirements, oftentimes we find ourselves at a place where our regulations are sometimes behind what the market trends are. So it's more of a inquiry about what is permissible and what different various businesses or potential developers can do. So the reason why I say we'll speak to that in the budget is we will talk about how we can comprehensively update that ourselves, so we're not dealing with these situations on a one-off basis, but we can look at it more comprehensively.
Well, one of the things that I think should happen also along with all that is the availability of information to commercial realtors.
Sure.
So they can see, our stuff doesn't mirror Prince William County. Our zoning doesn't. And I don't know of many commercial realtors that live in the town of Dumfries. But they need to so that the business owner who is purchasing or leasing a particular property and then wants to improve it, they're respected as far as knowing everything that they need to be doing up front before they pour lots of money into that property for the use of their business. And I've seen it time and time again here on council where they're just taken aback because the business owner doesn't tell them, the realtor doesn't tell them, and they've poured hundreds of thousands, some of them, dollars into properties to upgrade this and do that, and they come before council and they can't get the CUP or anything. So that would be great if all that information could be disseminated.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that we're actively working on, particularly internally, as well as making sure we collaborate with the county and any other stakeholders that we need to ensure that we provide that good information.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Councilman Brewer.
A couple of things. In regards to zoning, be very careful. We've been through that with our last economic development person. We went to court I don't know how many times over that and lost and had to change the zoning back to what it was. So that's one thing. Another thing, Mr. Fields, when you were on police department was 96% black. So I don't know when you served that it wasn't. And if you served in 2010, that's when we had a temporary chief.
All right.
Fine.
Seeing no more. Okay, Councilman Fields.
Yeah, that was up until 2010. Mr. Brewer, you are correct on that. But when I left in 2014, before I left, I was the only black officer on the department. And I think I served about 6 months in that capacity. There was one other, Mr. Robinson, but we left about the same time. But at one time, I was the only one.
All right, this time we're going to allow the council to take a stretch break. We went a little over the hour. It's 8:20. We'll come back here at 8:30. All right, calling this meeting back to order. In the words of Auntie Maxine, we're reclaiming our time. All right, next on the agenda is action items. The first action item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the town manager to schedule a public hearing for an ordinance changing the minimum acreage in the planned mixed-use district, PMUD, and that's going to be our town planner. Or is that you? Who's on that? You're the town planner.
Our town planner.
Okay. We'll have the town planner come in. Miss Fawcetti.
But it looks like she stepped away, so I can fill in.
Okay.
This item went before the planning commission, and they approved that it move forward to the council. Oh, here's our town planner.
Ms. Fawcetti, the floor is yours.
I was doing a poor job of impersonating you.
All right.
That's probably a good thing. Good evening, council. I also wanted to extend my condolences to the Waggy family. I only met her a few times, but she was a very impressive woman. But I stand here before you to make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the town manager to schedule a public hearing for the reduction of the minimum lot size requirement for the PMUD district from 5 acres to 2 acres. That's to help increase development in the area to attract more developers that could utilize a smaller area. Are there any questions?
Hey, council, any questions about the recommended motion? All right, seeing none, we welcome a motion from the floor.
So moved.
All right, this has been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor, we'll just raise our hands. Okay, motion carries 7-0. All right, next action item on the agenda is a resolution business license process and resources. Councilwoman Neville.
Thank you, Mayor. I came up with this resolution after my own experiences with the business license process, having conversations with Prince William County Economic Development and a small group of over 700 business owners in Prince William County. And basically, I thought we would have something in place to firm our commitment to current businesses in the town, help citizens who would like to begin a business and bring trainings to town, considering we don't have an SBA or SBDC in Prince William County at all. The closest is in Fredericksburg, and there's another one in Springfield. If you want to travel further, you can go to Alexandria. But Prince William County, one of the largest and most wealthiest counties, does not have this. And I think as a town, we could easily have that kind of partnership in place. Ask SBDC to come in and help our citizens go through the process of becoming business owners. And that resolution is before you. So hopefully we can take action on it tonight.
Councilman Brewer.
I've got 3 questions here, and this is all based on, I'm sure, some funds that would have to be provided for this. Town of Dumfries strives to provide a simplified, streamlined business licensing process for town businesses that align with Prince William County and the state corporation commissioners. In what manner do you want to streamline this? Next question is, town supports citizens who wish to become business owners, but they may need resources and training necessary to start their businesses. That would cost the town money, which is not what we're set up for. Town presently does not have training resources in place to support, encourage establishment of new town businesses. So where would this money for these resources come from?
Thank you, Councilman Brewer. Actually, that is an assumption with the fiscal resources here. Having the education and training, that kind of human resource to help citizens start their own businesses, that's nothing but a conversation with one of our local SBDC offices. Also a conversation with Prince William County Economic Development. This is not extra money. None of this is extra money. I want to be very clear about that. There are several businesses in town, hopefully some of you are watching, who've had just some discrepancies with the business license process. So having a focus group to come together and review our business application, perhaps compare it, make sure it's aligned to what's going on in Prince William County. A lot of times people may want to start a business, and first thing you have to do, of course, you should do your SEC filing, but all people in town do not know this. This is actually something I learned working with town businesses years ago when I was Director of Community Services, encouraging businesses to participate in our events. When you go to the courthouse, to the clerk, you're directed to go to Prince William County. Prince William County, after you sit in County Complex 5, that building with the taxes, they're telling you, oh no, you got to go to Dumfries. So you're going to tour around Prince William County just because we don't have things very clearly laid out. And this is a simple commitment we can do for our town citizens and for businesses that may be interested in locating in town. It is not a fiscal impact. It is a human contact, communication, effort impact that we have the resources to do.
All right, and I just want to read the resolution so the people watching and those hearing is, whereas the town council values existing business, whereas the town council welcomes new business to our town, and whereas the town of Dumfries strives to provide a simplified, streamlined business licensing process for town businesses that is aligned with Prince William County and the State Corporation Commission, and whereas the town of Dumfries welcomes business that may not have nor need a physical office location to obtain a business license, and whereas while the town of Dumfries strives to provide excellent customer services to existing and potential town business, and whereas the town supports citizens who wish to become business owners but may need resources and training necessary to start their business, and whereas the town presently does not have training, resources in place to support and encourage the establishment of the new business, now, therefore, be it resolved, the Town Council of the Town of Dumfries will partner with organizations like SBA, the Small Business Development Center, and other offices to host trainings in town to help citizens start their own business. Be it further resolved, the Town Council of the Town of Dumfries requests the town manager to establish a focus group to examine its business license process and provide feedback for necessary changes to consider. Be it further resolved, the Town Council of the Town of Dumfries directs the town manager to collaborate with Prince William County Department of Economic Development to ensure the town business licensing process is aligned with the Prince William County business licensing process. All right, Councilman Brewer.
Well, like I said, there's too many holes here, and people reading this resolution can construe that there are resources available in the town to help them start a business when in fact there's not. Now, if you want to make a motion that you wish the town manager to get with Prince William County or start a focus group or whatever that is, another committee, to do that, then that's fine, well and good. But when you put it in a resolution like this with so many holes in it, if I'm thinking of this, so would Joe Schmo here on the street coming up here wanting to start a popsicle business and saying, well, I don't know how to start a popsicle business. I'm coming to you to tell me how to start a popsicle business. And what resources are available here to help me start my popsicle business. So this has got way too many holes in it. You're opening us up to financial liability here. And I couldn't support this.
Council Lady Willis.
The only thing that the one thing that sticks out to me, there's two things. The town supports citizens whom wish to become business owners, but may need resources and training necessary to start their businesses. If you just take that one sentence, and it looks like we are providing this. Also down here, it says SBA and SBDC and other offices to host regular trainings in town. Now, if they host them in town, they're going to use town property. Usually people pay for that. One of the other things is, you know, we can't, I don't want to mandate somebody to go to establish a focus group. Because, I mean, our town manager can talk with the economic development, I mean, our town planner can, to ensure the business, I mean, he can direct whoever he chooses in his staff to do this, just to compare a licensing process. And then after that's done, then we can look at other things that possibly can come out of that.
Councilor?
Thank you, Mayor. To me, when I read the resolution, I hear what everybody's saying in terms of the perception that the town is going to be providing the resources. But in the final third paragraph from down, it says that we will be collaborating with organizations that are already providing these trainings, and then we will bring these trainings to town. So with that, I think it kind of clears up the resolution. I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution in support of small businesses.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Vice Mayor.
Thank you. So when I read it, the same concern that Councilwoman Willis had jumped out to me too, which Councilman Brewer also touched on, which is with regard to where the town wishes to support the citizens who want to become business owners but need resources and training. So I would vote that we do not pass this as written and we strike that part, because that part to me, you know, it really does sound kind of like the picture that Councilman Brewer painted, in that we are taking the onus to help you get to a point of being ready to start your business. I do agree fully, based on my own experiences, that, you know, the business license process can definitely be streamlined, and it definitely needs some work. So I think it's a good idea to ask the town manager to look into streamlining that process to make it more aligned to maybe what Prince William's looks like. I don't know what Prince William looks like, if that's the best practice, the way they're doing things, but I do agree that it definitely needs to be streamlined. But I cannot support this resolution as it's written. With some amendments, then I definitely agree that, you know, because we are a small town and we are looking to grow businesses, especially if we're going to turn Main Street into a downtown feeling, those are going to be small businesses. So we definitely want to make sure that as those businesses are coming to our Main Street, they have the opportunity to engage in a streamlined process that, you know, will encourage future businesses, et cetera. So I definitely think it's worth exploring further. I just cannot support it as it's currently written.
You want to speak now? Councilor Neville.
Yes, I just want to point out that line because it's similar to having a resolution on coal ash, having a position statement. When we use the word resources, it sounds from the conversations I'm hearing that we are making that the equivalent to money. Resources is not always equivalent to money. Resources like the SBDC, as I pointed out initially, we don't have those resources here. There's nothing like that, not just in the town. Prince William County does not have that. We had the Flory Center out, I believe that was all the way about an hour away in the Brentsville area. So that's what that means by resources, and it's just a statement of good commitment to our citizens. We recognize this issue, and this is what we plan to do to support you. That's it. It's a position statement. It is not a financial resource. This is not a fiscal impact. Also, I wanted to touch on a comment that was made about using space in the town. The town is allowed to use the space. Anyone else, you can resort to the community center usage policy in place, just like we're using this town hall to have our meeting here tonight.
Councilman Brewer.
Well, like I said, what you say in the resolution, people are going to get the wrong idea. You have to be concise and precise. what you're asking for. If not, you're going to get a business in town, exactly like the funeral home we had up the street here. No background done. Streamline the process. Look what happened. So, be very careful what you ask for and what you're allowing. Because if not, you're opening yourself up to huge liability. And I don't think town manager likes liability, do you?
No, sir. However, I just do want to add one piece.
Town manager, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It is not uncommon for localities to say that they will provide resources for folks that want to start a business. Those resources mostly look like how to start a business, and the reason for that is if we can make it easy for you to start a business, we will receive the fees and monies from you starting a business within the town. So just from my read on it, I thought it was an enhancement on operations, and so I was already brainstorming ways on how to accomplish that because I have just in my less than a month here have seen a number of potential clients come in and they were requesting information, and me still learning, there was no document that I could point them to. And so that was one of the things that I thought would be helpful in regards to that language. So in my reading, it was appropriate, but I do understand if we want to make sure that we're not delineating financial resources. So perhaps there's a friendly amendment just to clarify that does not necessarily mean money if that's more palatable for the council. But just from my opinion, if council were to adopt this, one of the things that I was thinking of is trying to put something together like that so that there's a resource guide for our businesses.
Councilor Miles, you made the amendment. Are you willing to make an amendment to your motion?
Well, yeah, what we could say is resources not having any fiscal impact.
Second stands.
Okay. All right. Vice Mayor, did you have comments that you wanted to make before? You said you had a...
I just wanted to say that I think that when we have these kind of discussions, painting a morbid picture does no one any good. And I think that a morbid picture has been painted by comparing this resolution to the likeness of what we dealt with the funeral home. One of the things that we're talking about here is making it an easier process, which doesn't mean making it the kind of process that will encourage fraud and the like, but making it a process that encourages business to grow, businesses to come here and flourish and grow our town. And I think that we want to make sure that that's the picture that we're painting, not a picture of, morbidness and, if we do this, the whole town will go to crap because of one situation that we had. I don't even see where this even compares to that particular situation. So I would like to erase the dot that was connected between those two situations.
All right, we're going to go Council Lady Willis and Councilman Brewer.
Now, the only thing that in our business license process, I agree with everybody that has said something about it on our dais this evening. It does need looking at. It does need streamlining. And, if that's the case, that's great. But we're connecting that with all kinds of stuff that probably shouldn't be connected. I think that we should table this. Let the town manager come up with his ideas, because you've been brainstorming even while we've been discussing this, and see what comes out of that.
Councilman Brewer.
Well, I tell you,
speaking to
you
your
don't
mic.
want to equate one with the other, but it happens. That's why I said, be careful what you wish for. You start streamlining things, and then businesses come into town, unfavorable businesses that don't not necessarily meet our comp plan, and There you go. You're trying to streamline things. You're trying to help them start a business, no matter what it is. So, if it fits within our comp plan, that's fine. But, you know, if it's something that the town of Dumfries, we need to sit around and scratch our head about, this type of business coming into the town, then, you know, I'm not for it. So, you know, like I said, be careful what you wish for.
All right, so currently the motion on the floor is to adopt the resolution with adding after resources, no fiscal impact. A yes vote moves this resolution forward. A no vote, this resolution dies. All right, so at this point, if you're in favor of a yes, just raise your hand for count. Yes says with the no fiscal impact. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so motion carries 5-2. All right, next on the agenda is the FY20 proposed budget overview by our town manager, Keith C. Rogers, Jr. The floor is yours, sir. Welcome to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, by the way.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm pleased to present to the council and to the community tonight the proposed budget for fiscal year 20 as well as our 5-year capital plan for FY 2020 through FY 2024. So first, I would just like to thank all of the staff for their hard work in developing this budget. We had 24 business days to put together the budget for the town. And so I think this document, even with a quick turnaround, we did not compromise quality or sound decision making. So the council has received the budget document itself electronically as well as received the printed copies. The electronic version of the budget will also be available for the residents of the town after my presentation this evening. And tonight's presentation will just give council a brief overview, and we could walk through the budget document itself so that you feel comfortable with all of the different sections. So I believe strongly in strategic planning. And for localities, our budget are our critical strategic planning tools. So the proposed budget that you have sets a framework for our future planning as well as provides the town with a strong foundation. This budget was prepared in adherence to the sound financial practices. All revenues equal expenditures, complying with our legal requirement to have a balanced budget. This budget also achieves structural balance, meaning that one-time revenues are being used for one-time expenditures or to pay down debt. Unlike in years past, there are no transfers from the unassigned fund balance that were used to balance this budget. As you may have noticed, the format of this budget has been updated to ensure that council as well as the community is provided a full picture of our town finances. The proposed capital budget document addresses our reality of balancing multiple projects with finite staff resources. As such, our CIP budget includes no general fund contributions for FY20. This will ensure that all our active projects are successfully completed and closed out while we focus on our game-changing Route 1 widening project. Also, beginning in fiscal year 2020, all the capital projects that you see before you are clearly defined and reflected within our capital improvement plan. Internally, we are ensuring that proper segregation of accounts will clearly reflect our capital improvement funding as well as all funding sources for each project. This budget also includes the foundational elements of a performance-based budget. So to talk a little bit about our strategic planning in regards to this budget document, the staff and I take a look at our comprehensive plan themes, our 2030 vision themes, as well as all of our mandated services. And we took those and we debated for hours on how to develop some strategic focus areas. So we came up with 4 strategic focus areas for which all of our decisions in this budget were based off of. These focus areas are economic vitality, public safety, sustainability and infrastructure, as well as well-managed government. So now let's go to the numbers. So revenue highlights. The total proposed general fund budget is $4.7 million. So despite a lack of overall growth in revenues, I'm pleased to present a balanced budget that includes no increases in taxes or fees at this time. Real estate tax. It accounts for about 18% of our general fund revenue. I would like to point out that this year in FY20, the number that you see on your budget book, and our revenues begin at page 24 if you're following along in the budget document. The number you see represented there accounts for a 97% collection rate. In years past, you saw that number represented at 100%. However, that's not best practices. Local taxes, such as meals tax and sales tax, that represents approximately 40% of our general fund revenue. Other drivers, our franchise license fee, we saw a 290% increase in those fees from our FY19 adopted budget. I'll go to landfill host fees, that we realized a 78% increase from our FY19 adopted budget. We also had $200,000 that we expect to receive in one-time revenue from property sale. And I'll go back to vehicle tags. In FY19, there was no money budgeted for previous fiscal year, while we contemplated collaborating with Prince William County on those collections. I have investigated or looking into the feasibility of that, and I found that it was not feasible for the town to have Prince William to administer that tax for us. And so I'm recommending in FY20 that the town reinstitute collecting that ourselves, and we are budgeted, or we're projected to collect $60,000 in revenue for vehicle tags.
So can we interject with questions as we get them here?
Sure.
You want to go all the way through? What's better?
Whatever's your pleasure.
All right, let's go through it. All right.
Okay. So enhancements by agency. So for the town council, I propose fully funding the travel and training account for the council, as well as an increased discretionary account, which would constitute approximately $1,000 per council member. In regards to boards and commissions, I propose level funding. Community development. You will note in your budget document that historic Dumfries is now reflected within the Department of Community Development. This was done to better align our asset with our strategic objectives in regards to tourism. Also, you will note one-time funding allocations for a comprehensive plan review, a zoning ordinance revision, as well as a Main Street master plan. These are one-time costs supported by one-time revenues. Public Works. You will note that all street and highway maintenance funds are reflected within this department, and this line is designed to develop or to allow staff to develop a paving and maintenance plan for all of our roads. Police. This agency saw the most significant increases for our FY20 budget. You will note funding that has been allocated for additional staff to support the administrative functions. The police department will also realize increased funding for training, recruitment, as well as uniform allowances. One-time funding has also been added to the equipment line to support the acquisition of new tasers. We've also allocated funding to support a summer youth camp within the department as well. Administration. This is the department that contains the manager, treasurer, and other administrative functions for the town. Within this budget, you will note a 2% cost of living increase for all town employees except for the town manager and the town attorney. You will also note that the events budget is now completely reflected within this agency. The proposed budget also includes funding for additional staff to support the segregation of duties, particularly within our financial operations. Also, there's funding provided to administer a community partner grant program at $25,000. And there's also one-time funding to be utilized to update the town website. Debt service. Within the debt service agency, you will note all of the town's debt payments, but you will also note this year a debt payment for this municipal building. In beginning FY20, Trimark will handle the payment of that bond. So you will also note an offsetting revenue line item within the revenues page to offset that debt payment. Now for our CIP budget, as I mentioned previously, we have detailed project pages for each of our active as well as proposed capital improvement projects. Also, no general fund transfers are being proposed for our capital improvement plan in FY20. And again, our focus with Public Works is to focus on completing our existing projects as well as focusing on our game-changing Route 1 widening project. The next slide is our budget calendar. This is the calendar, proposed calendar for the presentation, work session, and adoption of our budget. These dates have been included in the resolution that is also before you. And so that concludes my overview presentation, and I welcome any questions at this time.
All right, so we'll just go down the dais and see if we have any questions. Councilman Fields, did you have any questions? Okay. Council Lady Willis, any questions on the budget presentation?
It really looks nice.
You got to push your button so that we can hear
I
it.
said the budget for the SIP and the fiscal budget for the 2020 really look nice. I don't know, I mean, this is a new layout. The format's different. Are we going to get any more detail than what we have here later on, like we have in the past?
So my recommendation is at the work session, we can go through each agency line by line, and we can provide that information at that time.
Okay.
So, yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Council Lady Newell.
Yeah, well, I had the same question as Council Lady Willis here, and you just answered that. I think this is aesthetically pleasing. It is a wonderful layout. It's very easy to read. It's very clear. I just thank you. You're doing an amazing job. This is wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and also note, if you look at the budget presentation, as a special thank you goes out to the contributions of the document layout by our town planner, Katiana Fawcetti.
Absolutely.
For the work she did in putting that together. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. So I agree. It does look great. It is absolutely more comprehensible. Prior budgets, was a little hard to follow at sometimes, difficult to understand, especially for someone like myself who really had no municipal budget experience, so didn't know exactly what I was looking at. So the way this is laid out, I appreciate it. I would like for you, I know that we're going to go line by line and discuss this during our work session. I would like for you to talk a little bit more about the vehicle tags and the revenue highlights. And the reason why I'd like for you to talk about that is because there are I want to make sure that our citizens understand exactly what's going on, because 1 minute we were paying vehicle tags, this year we were not, and now it sounds like you're saying we're going to be paying for this again. So I want to make sure that everybody understands what's happening here and why.
Sure. So my understanding, it was that the council decided to ask Prince William County to put our vehicle tags on their personal property billing. And so because of that, we assumed that we would not receive the revenue from that within fiscal year 19. So in fiscal year 19, the budget was $0. my understanding was that it was always the intention that that revenue we would begin to see that from Prince William County in fiscal year 20. What I was able to ascertain from staff as well as Prince William County is that the cost for the county to collect that fee for us would be nearly half of what we're projecting to collect. And so therefore I found it not feasible for us to pursue that route. Also, as I mentioned, our real estate tax is budgeted at 97% collection. So if we can collect 97% of our real estate tax, we should be able to collect 97% of our vehicle tag. So to pay almost half of what we project to the county just to administer it. And I do believe that those fees were legitimate from the county. But I don't think it was worth it for us in the long run. I think that we do collaborate with the county to make sure that we have good records, particularly with DMV as it comes to the vehicle tags. So there is still collaboration with the county, but for them to administer it on the bill, I didn't see as fiscally feasible for us.
Thank you for that explanation. I think it's also important to understand because the last election cycle, I believe it was, there were council members who ran on getting rid of this tax. So what I'm hearing you say is that the tax was never really being taken away. It was just being funneled a little bit differently, which meant citizens weren't going to come to town to actually pay and get a sticker. And what you're saying is that that's what we were proposing. And what we're going to do is actually go back to come into town, swipe in, pay, and what have you, and getting a sticker. Are we still going to have to do decals?
So I would like to bring a updated process for the council in regards to how the vehicle tags are billed and administered. However, we would be reinstituting collecting the fees for that, yes.
Okay, so they were never going away. They were just being...
Correct. My understanding, it was simply a budgetary issue where we projected no revenue because it was being delayed, and we weren't collecting it because we were anticipating Prince William billing it, so we weren't collecting it. That's the base of my understanding from what had happened in the past.
That sounds right. I just wanted to make sure that we had a point of clarification for our citizens to understand, why it seemed like it was being taken away. But it was never actually being taken away.
Absolutely.
And so it's not coming back. It never left.
Right. And in fact, we get people every day attempting to come in to pay for their vehicle tags, and we explain.
Not all of us. Some of us thought it was going away, and we were happy with that. And so not all of us. But I get it. Thank you.
Sure.
Council Lady Miles.
To echo my colleagues, I want to thank you for a job well done. The budget presented was easy to understand. It was easy to follow along with. And I also appreciate you taking the time to meet with all of us to give us a breakdown on this. So I am looking forward to the work session when we go through line by line.
All right.
Councilman Brewer.
The vehicle tags were going to be done just as we did the trash bill. We did with the trash bill, town citizens were getting 2 trash bills a year. So we eliminated that, and rolled that into the property taxes. That's why it went from 12 to 18 cents per person or per household. Prince William County, even though we do pay taxes to Prince William County, we pay the same thing as what county residents do. And we get less services from them. This is something that the town, however this upcoming election goes, needs to pound this to the ground on our representative. We've asked for so many things, and they weren't that many, but we've been turned down at every turn we make. So with that being the case, we had a plan with them rolling that into the personal property tax, and they basically refused to do it. So it wasn't a matter of them, they couldn't do it, it's they refused to do it. As far as this budget goes, I see a lot of lump sum items in here where previous budgets we've gotten expenditures under certain line items that we need to be aware of. And if you're going to bring forth that type of format, then that's great. If not, that's something we need to do because we need to see where every dime goes. That's our responsibility up here.
All right, so my question on the, I think that we touched on it was on the breakdowns. You gave some percentages. You said that and if you can go back to that slide, please, for us to look at, on the percentages. So you said our mills tax is greater than our real estate tax and what we're collecting?
No, in total, all of our other local taxes account to be greater than our real estate tax revenue. Yeah, so yes.
So all local taxes account for 40% of the gross revenue?
Right.
But the real estate tax is only 18% of our gross revenue?
Correct.
But it's still the largest thing that we collect? Because I was trying to understand your percentages in your presentation.
Right, so on page 24 of the budget book, you'll see the real estate taxes are the first category listed on page 24. So the total number includes any delinquent penalty and interest and things of that nature. But if you go over to
Other local taxes underneath of it, same page 24?
Yes. You'll see the sales tax, rental tax, utility, transient tax, all of those taxes end up being a total of about $1.9 million, which is about 40% of the budget.
Okay. And the transient is just a pass-through tax. We don't get to keep any of that, right? The TOT. The 2%.
The 2%, yes.
Yeah, that's just pass-through. Okay, so your proposal at the end of your report is for us to adopt that budget schedule.
Correct.
And those dates are being adopted by resolution, and some dates are just a placeholder in case we need to have the date, but we adopt it all at one time.
Can you go to that last slide?
Yeah. So you're looking at your resolution to have a special called just budget meeting next Tuesday, April 9th.
Yes, sir.
Just to talk about the budget only.
Yes.
Another work session on April 16th to have a work session and a budget work session. And then during the regular meeting, if needed, you want to schedule the public hearing for May 7th?
Correct.
And then if we need to adopt the budget by May 21st so that we're ready to go. So this is your proposed budget calendar?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so you're looking for a motion to adopt this schedule?
So moved.
All right, Councilman Brewer.
But well, before we start adopting all this stuff
Right.
and jumping the gun here, we're only looking at 2 meetings for the budget, and one of them's during a work session.
3.
I think what we need to do is we need to push it down another week, the May 21st. I mean, in actuality, this thing doesn't have to be adopted and voted on till the 30th of June. So, I mean, I don't see what the rush is here. I think we need to go through this budget pretty comprehensively. So, instead of us making May 21st the budget adoption and advertising it, we need to put another work session in there for the budget, because one of them is going on during a work session, and we have no idea what's going to be on that work session. And I'm going to tell you, I've stayed in here till 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning on these things. So it's not fun.
So April 30th is 5 Tuesdays actually in the month of April. So if we want to tag another day.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be in April. It could be in May. It doesn't have to be adopted. Like I said, the budget doesn't have to be adopted and approved until the 30th of June.
Let's see. I know we had a calendar in here.
I think we need to
What was
put one more work session in
It's on
there
page 11, Mayor.
Page 11.
that would specifically be just for the budget.
No, page 12,
See,
actually.
because you're looking at April 16th, a special council meeting, budget work session to follow a regular work session. So in actuality, you're only having one day that you're dedicating to the budget. Not enough.
The 9th and the 16th will be real.
What's on the work session?
We will develop that next week.
You don't know. That's what I'm saying. See, we need to have 2 specific meetings, at least, for the budget.
There are.
No, you've got 1.5.
Okay.
So if we look in the, because he put a budget calendar based on all the state code and all our town charter. And I guess right now in our town charter, on page 13, it says council action on the budget by May 21st. All right, or by that, notice and hearing the council shall publish in one or more local
Yeah,
newspapers.
the council would be taking the
Action,
action
okay.
on the budget as far as the advertisement of the budget.
So
That means the council's approved it and sent it out for advertisement. That's action.
So amendment can be made after advertisement.
But we can go down, but we can't go up
All right.
after advertising.
The only thing I will note, I'm amenable to any changes. The only thing I would note is because of some of the nuances that we have to do internally to be ready to conduct business on July 1, this was an effort to make sure that staff had time to take the adopted budget, process ready, and do everything we need to do to be ready to conduct business with the applicable budget as well as the fee schedule included on July 1.
Okay.
So the budget calendar that's before you would give us sufficient time with staff to accommodate
All right.
any potential
So your
changes.
fee schedules isn't going to change.
Correct.
All right.
Based off of proposed.
Are we gonna go Council Lady Neville, then we'll come to Council Lady Miles and then Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I think, we hired a town manager. We need to trust his judgment. This is a different budget process. We can tell that by looking at what we have before us right now. And this schedule, this calendar is based on the process we're using right now. And I think we should support him and trust his judgment with this and move forward and accept the calendar as stated. This is not a calendar based on previous town council or, town budgets. That's all I wanted to say.
Council Lady Miles.
Okay, so I agree with Councilwoman Neville, but I hear what Councilman Brewer is saying in terms of having enough time to look over the budget. Might I suggest that instead of on the 16th, where we have the regular work session as well, could we dedicate that solely to the budget?
Certainly.
So then,
So does it need to be? Oh, sorry.
Vice Mayor.
okay, so with Councilwoman Miles' suggestion, that gives us 2 full meetings then for the budget, right? And by having the 2 full meetings, that means we don't have to be here until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Was that your point, Councilman Brewer, in
No.
in having the additional meetings?
No, the reason I'm saying this, and to the point that Ms. Neville makes, we're not here to rubber stamp anything. I don't rubber stamp nobody's stuff. We have a responsibility to citizens of this town. He has a responsibility to us. We have a responsibility to citizens of this town to look over this budget. And yes, I'm not saying I don't trust him. It has nothing to do with that. We got to look over the numbers, see if the numbers work. So, that's our responsibility. I'm not rubber stamping anybody. I don't care if Obama made the budget. I don't care. But what I'm saying here is, it's our responsibility. 2 meetings, possibly. I would leave a 3rd in there. 1 more meeting date. If we don't need it, we can get rid of it. But I know that in the past, it has taken a few more meetings than that because there's been so many changes. And also, too, does it give you enough time between these meetings that we have to correct whatever it is we come up with?
This calendar does, yes.
If we added another meeting to it, would it give you enough time to correct whatever items are come up with here? Because we also have to give him enough time to correct these things and bring it back to us.
Is the 24th the third Tuesday?
No, the 23rd is. You got
23rd?
the 20. So you got. I'm gonna tell you the Tuesdays we got. We got the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. So we can throw something in there. We can skip the 23rd and go to the 30th, and just have it in there as a placemaker as needed. Is what I'm saying. Which one, the 23rd or the 30th? We can pick one of those Tuesdays.
I mean, if we can do it in two, that'd be fantastic. But
Right. So
we need to give us,
so we can put a date in there as a placeholder as
yeah,
needed.
we really need it. We
Thir-
really do.
Okay. So is the 30th conducive for everyone? We'll just get a consensus. Is 30th, Councilman Fields, Council Lady Willis, checking the 30th.
For extensive calendar.
Council Lady Neville, 30th as needed. Vice Mayor. 30th.
I'll be here.
Okay. So we'll.
Question, do we have to be here April 24th?
No, 24th is not a meeting. That's
Okay,
just
for
advertising.
Okay.
That's just for advertising. So right now we got the 9th, the 16th, and then the 30th as needed.
And you have to understand that if
Yeah.
it's, well, you don't take this back to the clerk. If we advertise it, there can be no changes on there that reflect anything, or you'll have to re-advertise it, correct?
As long as you are not increasing any of your real estate taxes or any of those fees, you are fine. You can decrease, move money around, you can,
Right, as long as that number stays the same.
correct.
So I think what we need to do then, if that's the case, because there could very well be money moved and increased or whatever.
Well, it's not moving money, it's increasing their tax rates.
Well, increasing your tax rates and your fees.
Right.
So we're looking at.
Like if you change the cigarette tax rate, you're changing the fee.
But you're right, but based off of the regular schedule, if we added a meeting on the 21st,
You mean the 30th?
I mean the 30th, we would still, that would be the last scheduled work session, so we would still be ready. So all of the changes
public
should,
hearing.
right? We would still be ready for public hearing.
We need to advertise after our meetings are done, not in the middle of them.
So those dates
Right.
need to be changed, the 21st, the 24th, and the 1st. We need to amend those dates to fall after
The last
Right.
budget
the last
meeting.
meeting on the 30th.
So we need to meet on the 23rd then, not the 30th.
Can we just change the date?
You can change your advertising date, yeah.
How does that work for you, Don? We
That-
take, because
That would-
ultimately the newspapers have deadlines. So Don,
Okay, so if you're changing and you're not wanting to advertise until after the meeting on the 23rd,
no, on the 30th. They don't want to meet
on
on
the
the 23rd.
30th.
They want to meet on the 30th.
that's going to push you guys way back. So
Yeah.
you're going to have special meetings in June to hold a public hearing and to adopt it.
Right.
So,
Right. So that's why I said the 23rd.
Then I guess we're back to the 23rd.
So we do the 23rd, then we can get our advertising out. Versus the 30th.
Guess we're back.
It works for you? Yes, needed. So 23rd.
Don't you need 2 consecutive
So we'll go
weeks to
three
do the
consecutive
budget?
weeks.
We have those.
No, I'm talking about for advertising. So with that being the case, then if we move the advertisement, you still, that's only in May.
Right, but you would have to those dates you have to schedule. It would change your meeting schedule from May because you couldn't have a budget public hearing on the 7th if you didn't advertise until.
No, you could have your public hearing
On the 14th.
Yeah.
A special call.
Right, that would be
meeting
a
on the
special
14th.
meeting.
Yeah.
Or an additional.
After Mother's Day.
Then you would still have time to adopt by the
So we were
June
trying to do it
30th
with our regular
deadline.
meeting schedule rather than add another meeting.
I mean, we've adopted budgets
That's why I said the 23rd.
On June 3rd. So,
I would like to not, for us to not do that.
well, I know, but what I'm saying here is that,
I understand.
it's happened.
I understand.
So let's get a consensus, the 23rd or the 30th? My recommendation is the 23rd, so we can keep.
For the
our-
last meeting?
Yeah, so to go 3 consecutive budget meetings
Okay.
as needed, 9th, 16th, and 23rd. Yeah, we'll have food.
Cliff, pizza's on you.
No, we got it already in the budget. Yes.
When?
Yeah, 23rd's
Oh,
good.
hell no, y'all get noodles.
All right.
Raw ones.
All right, so the 23rd, I got a consensus on the 23rd.
Okay.
All right. So, all right, so the only thing we added to the schedule that's in front of you is the 23rd, another special called budget meeting for April 23rd. All the other dates are staying the same. We just added one date to the date. That's April 23rd. All right.
I was gonna say,
No, everything else is staying the same. No, it's budget, but we don't have to say, we make the agenda. So it's okay.
Okay, well, then change it to the 25th.
Yeah.
You mean to know?
Yeah, April 23rd. All right, who made the motion? All right, so you're gonna amend your motion to add the 23rd?
Yeah, change it.
Who made the second? Brian made the second?
You're trying to make more than what
All
it
right,
is.
so
You're only changing
so the amendment.
but we're
All right.
we're actually changing the 16th, however, from a work session to a special called budget work session.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. So there's, can you add to the council calendars? All right, so the motion on the floor right now is to adopt the budget calendar with the amendments to the 16th being a special called budget work meeting and the 23rd also being a special called budget work session. All right, it's been motion, it's been second with amendments. All right, I think we've exhausted the discussion at this particular time, so we're going to call for the question. All in favor, do show with a show of hands. Reclaim. All right, motion carries 7-0. All right, the last action item of the day. Right. It said, wow. I think it's the town manager, something to advertise a public hearing. Town manager, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. The resolution before you would to authorize the town manager to advertise a public hearing regarding the lease of town-owned office space located at 17739 Main Street.
All right, so town manager is looking for a motion to public hearing this thing.
So move.
It's been moved. It's been second. All right, discussion. I got like 4 lights on. Councilman Brewer, you're left alone.
Does it fit within our zoning requirement?
Yes, sir.
It's in this building. All right. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor do so by show of hands. Okay, motion carries 7-0. All right, so our next meeting dates, we're going to have a budget work session next Tuesday, April 9th, and then we'll have another budget meeting April 16th and 23rd. Those are our next meetings. Our next on the agenda is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and second. No further discussion. All in favor, do so with show of hands. Aye. Motion carries. This meeting is now adjourned.